Today we're going to finish the chapter, going to focus on page 90. We'll start on page 89, 7 lines from the bottom of the page. שני גיטין ושתי כתובות גובה שתי כתובות. Here is a situation that a wife comes before the rabbinic court. She bringing two Ketubot, two marriage contracts, and two bill of divorce, two gitin. How that can be? Husband married wife, he gave her a Ketubah upon the marriage, and then he divorced her. He did not pay the Ketubah. Then he brought her back. He gave her a second Ketubah, and then he divorced her a second time. So here Rashi explained to us, we have to go by different circumstances, how things happen. We have to examine very carefully each word of the Ketubah, especially the time, and also each of the get of the divorce paper. In general, if it is true that he didn't pay both, later you see if we ask her to take an oath or not, but in general, if she have two and two, she collects two Ketubot. However, שתי כתובות וגט אחד, if she married to someone, received Ketubah upon marriage, divorce him, and then she have another Ketubah. So here you see that the time of both Ketubot, it's before the time of the divorce. So later we explain why. או כתובה אחת ושני גיטין, or you have a marriage contract with two get, so meaning the husband wrote for her the original marriage a Ketubah, he divorced her, he brought her back without writing a new Ketubah, and then he divorced her, which means trace a situation that the time between the divorce and the writing of the Ketubah, of the writing a second Ketubah, was short time, or vice versa. So they said, או כתובה וגט ומיתה, which means the husband wrote a Ketubah and then he divorced her, and then he had her back without writing her a new Ketubah, which means we understand that it still depends upon the original Ketubah. Then he passed away, so she needs to bring two witnesses, two Eidim, to the Beit Din, that the husband is no longer among the living. And not just that, but he passed away after she married him second time, and now she wanted to collect two Ketubot, one as a divorcee from the first marriage, and one for the widows of the second marriage. אינה גובה אלא כתובה אחת, she collected only one Ketubah. Why? שהמגרש את אשתו והחזירה, if someone divorced his wife and brought her back without writing for her a new Ketubah, על מנת כתובה הראשונה מחזירה, a person bring her back with the term and condition of the original marriage contract, and therefore we go by that. שיטה מקובצת brought from the students of Rabbi Yonah that the average situation is, imagine it's a lot of heat in the house. He decided that he is going to divorce her, give her the divorce she received, and things turn around, and people talking to him, etc., 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 and he brought her back. So in that situation, we assume that in a way it was impetuous get, and he didn't even consider to pay her the Ketubah, and since she come to collect the original Ketubah, we assume after the testimony and everything and the witness that that was the situation, and therefore she deserved to get the money for the original marriage contract. So the Mishnah told us that if she brought 2 ketubot and 1 get, so she collect 1, which means that she have the choice to choose which one of the 2 ketubot she can use. So the Gemara asks a question: I ba'aya behai gavya, I ba'aya behai gavya, which means, do you believe that that's the rules, that she have the choice to choose which one of the 2 to take? Leima tehevet yuvta de Rav Nachman. Maybe this will be a challenge of the ruling of Rav Nachman. אמר שמואל, אמר רב נחמן, אמר שמואל, שני שטרות היוצאים בזה אחר זה, which means you have 2 promissory note or two documents that come one after the other for the same loan or the same sales contract. ביטל שני את הראשון. Obviously, if you have a lender that they bring 2 documentations for the same loan, and one has a date different than the other, which means one date precedes the date of the other, so you can collect only by the second documentation, which means the lender can collect from customers who collect those land only after the time of the second documentation. The same applies the other way around. So obviously you don't want to collect and recollect a loan. According to the Rav Nachman's view, even the situation of our Mishnah, the wife cannot collect only the last documentation, and therefore so she can collect only from the estate that the husband sold after the time of the last Ketubah. So the Gemara said, Lav itmar Allah. Did we not say on that ruling of Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Papa, Umode Rav Nachman dei osif beidikla letosefet katvei. As we learn many times, there is a Ketubah and there is a tosefet, which means this is an addition to the original Ketubah. So imagine, just for our understanding, he adds to the Ketubah a palm tree. Palm tree is just the idea that he adds something. And we call it Tosefet Ketubah, which means in addition to the minimum obligation you have in a Ketubah. So obviously, while Rav Nachman said that the second one abrogated the first one, it means if you do not have in the second documentation any additional payment in addition to the first one. So we understand that the intent is to abrogate the first one. Otherwise, why you write the second one? But if you have the second documentation in addition to the first one, we do not say that the second one abrogated the first one. For example, if he wrote in the first documentation that he sold a certain estate, and the second he wrote that he's selling the same estate in addition of a palm tree that you have in a estate. So what we understand, since there is an addition item in the second documentation that you do not have at the first one, I understand the intent that he gave the one who received that documentation the capability, the ability to choose whichever he wanted. If he wants, he can exercise the first promissory note. If not, and therefore all the estate is subjugate in a lien to for the first one. If he wish to, he can go by the second one that has more. But the time has to be by the second documentation. That's the way the Rambam tells us in Ilchot Zchiya Matana, chapter 8. You see it also in a tour in Shulchan Aruch Shel Mishpat Reish Mem. So he said, Hachanami, here too, also, what you see is in the Mishnah, Bide Osifla, which means he add in the second Ketubah more money than the first one, which means she cannot come and collect two-time marriage contract. Why? Because he did not wrote, okay, I add for you something. Let's say the first marriage contract was 200. The second marriage contract was 200 plus another addition of 50. What we understand, he gave her a choice to choose one of the two Ketubot, which one she wants to. If she wants, she can give up the first one, or not, she go by the second one. That's the way Rashi explained to us. Now, the truth is, you derive from that a very heavy discussion among the poskim, among the rabbis, how you treated checks. First, let's go the ancient time, and then you see in our times. The question is, do you treat a check as a cash or as a promissory note? The idea here, imagine that you have two people, and Mr. Reuven gave Shimon two checks. One check is written $500, second check is written $550. Mm-hmm. Now, Shimon deposited both. The first check came back. You take him to rabbinic court. Reuven said, wait a second, I intend to cancel the first check. The $550 is the amount I owe you. Reuven said, no, you owe me $1,050, and that's the reason why I deposit this, and you give me two checks. Do we impose upon him to take an oath or not? Do you mean to say that the second check abrogated the first one or not? In nowadays, most of the rabbis hold that the check is considering in that fashion a cash, and one cannot abrogate the others. What happens sometimes in some cases, the people lost the original checks or did not tear the original checks. And that's a problem, because when the lender come up with different checks, especially if it's a different date, it's very hard to come back and say, no, I pay you, or I give you a new check in exchange of this one, or I pay you something and this is the new one. Tanu Rabbanan, Otzia get uktuba umita, meaning after the husband divorced her, she married him second time, and then the husband passed away. So she bringing a witness that the husband passed away, and she tried to collect two Ketubot, one as a divorce from the first marriage, and one as a widow from the second marriage. That's the way Rashi explained. Page 90, in get kotem lektuba govash te Ketubot. So here, since you see a situation that the husband wrote for her Ketubah for the second marriage, she have the right to collect the Ketubah over that marriage. She collected by the get of the first Ketubah, she said, and the second one she used the Ketubah note and the witness that the husband passed. Now, the Gemara said Ketubah kodemet leget, אינה גובה אלא כתובה אחת. But if it's a Ketubah preceding the get, so she writes only one Ketubah, שהמגרשת אשתו והחזירה, המנה כתובה ראשונה החזירה. The assumption is that someone divorced his wife and then have her back. He have a back for the condition of the original Ketubah. So therefore you go by the first Ketubah. Now, the reality is that the dynamics between a husband and wife, it can be that he's all angry, etc., divorced her, and then he brought her back. So it's a possibility that he did not pay the Ketubah, the original Ketubah that he committed himself for the first marriage. Now the Mishnah. The Mishnah dealing first with the minor. Minor, for that definition, can be even a child who is 11, 12 years old, not necessarily very young. But here, Katan she'esi'o aviv, daddy set him up with someone. He is not bar mitzvah yet, right? And Ketubta kayemet. So he wrote a Ketubah as a minor. So they said Shalmanat ken kima, that the truth is marriages of a minor doesn't have an effect, neither biblical nor rabbinic. But even the father cannot betroth him. But here the situation is that since he is staying with her, the Ritva said that he carries the notion of the original betrothed, and it's an effect later. The Noda Biyuda, the Avnei Miluim, have a serious discussion over marriage of a minor, if that's have any effect. It's fascinating to see that there is a rabbi, his name is Mahari Barzaloni, that he tried to say that if he has the concept of Da'at Gadol, see sometimes a minors, you know, in those shul that struggle, so they ask a minor to carry a chumash and say amen when they have no minyan. You see sometimes a minor boy that know way more than adult, right? Mm-hmm. So he tried to say that as far as the zechiyah, as far as the right, he has something, he carries something. He tried to say that he carries some manner of marriages. But anyway, by the simple law, a boy that is not bar mitzvah is not an effective kiddushin. But here he carries that kiddushin since he married with her. The same way as a convert, that his wife converted with him. So the merit of the marriage contract is an effective one because it was their condition. So the idea is, he wrote this Ketubah when they are still non-Jews, but then they live together, so their marriages, after they converted, it's already biblical. So the Mishna come to teach us that even the original commitment, it's not a valid, but since they have Ketubah, and we have that was al da'at itchalvut rishona, which means that was with the mindset that they're going to be together as a Jewish husband and wife, and they are planning to finalize the conversion when they convert. So therefore, the Shita Mikubetzet brings that's ineffective. We must understand, that's Rabbi Akiva Iger said, that Rabbi Akiva Iger asked, what's the Havamina, what's the idea that in this Ketubah? He said that as far as the monetary payment, the non-Jews can have any monetary payment between the two parties and it's effective. But the idea is that marriage is a marriage only when they finally convert to Judaism, then you consider them as a Jewish couple. So it means that Almenat Ken Kima, that was the notion that they're going to finalize their conversion and then they live as a halachically correct Jewish couple. Tosfot, yes.
Since they was convert and they got married through the law, and they're not really a ketubah because they don't have a marriage license, then they're not supposed to remarry?
No, they can stay and they can finalize their conversion.
And then they
what?
And once they finalize the conversion, then they have to he has to give a ketubah.
Then he give the ketubah. Okay.
Now the chidush in this Mishnah is, if he gave a ketubah, he's very serious girl, and he studied very seriously, and he is about to finish his studies. So while he did that, he started observing mitzvot and started doing a lot of things. So he gave her the ketubah. Mm-hmm. So you may think that it has no effect, The Mishnah come and Chidush here, they said, no, it is an effect. Tosfot elaborate. Tosfot said something so beautiful. I'm just reading a few lines from the Tosfot. Tosfot said, אף על גב שגדלה או נתגיירה כבר היא בעולה, אפילו אחרי יש לה כתובה 200 של מעט כן קיימה שהיא עכשיו כתחילת נישואיה. So beautiful. He said, look, if he married, just a Jewish guy married a virgin girl, so it's a 200. We discussed it many times. This non-Jew met her, can be in a high school or who knows where. She was virgin, all right? They decided to convert to Judaism. He's now, the final of the conversion, he giving her Ketubah. So you think since they already have relation between them, you can treat it as a one who's no longer Betula, therefore you should give her 100. The Chidush in the Mishnah, they said no, since they open new chapter, he gave her 200. That's what Tosfot said.
But only Tosfot said that, or is that the Chachamim said no?
That's what Tosfot understand from this Mishnah. Shamanat ken kima, that's the way you go by retroactive act in like a new chapter. Kitchilat nesuya, that's Tosfot.
But didn't, and maybe I misremember, but I thought we talked about that in a previous Mishnah where they said that automatically a Gioris would gets 100.
Correct, but this is, remember, this is the same team that stay together forever.
So just because it's you, because you know that they've been essentially faithful even when they were, okay. So it was addressed in the previous Mishnah, and that's, you automatically assume a Gioris is not a virgin. Right?
What you guys asking, I didn't want to elaborate, but there's a book called Nodab Yehuda.
Right.
Nodab Yehuda was one of the luminary giants in Prague, in Czechoslovakia, Rabbi Lendau. He and Chatam Sofer too, it's again great Hungarian rabbi in the previous generation of Feinstein, may rest in peace. They all have the issues, and response over Balei Tshuva, people who became religious. Do you write the Ketubah as Betulin or not? It's a very big discussions. And it's not so simple because there are notions either way.
Yeah, whether you would treat him essentially as a Gioris or...
not Gioris, even Balei
no, but I mean in the same way because of the...
Even Balei Tshuva, people
right.
who are not religious.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is somebody who...
And became very religious. So do you treat, when you write those Ketubot, do you treat it as the original relationship they had? Or you treat it the way the current situation? Think about this. We discussed it in the past, that in the Ketubah, it's written the word Betula, that several times. And it's a discussion among the rabbis if the guy is embarrassed that the reader will read the Ketubah and he said that she's not Betula. So he make a deal with her that, you know, the real Ketubah will be different, but the one that they read it in public will be Betula. If that's ineffective or not, it's a discussion. Because, you know, some people, the good news in America, I don't know if it's a good news, but usually when we read the Ketubot, people have no
idea what they're
saying because the translation in English
it's Aramaic too.
Never reflects what it's written in Aramaic, right? But in Aramaic, several times there is a definition if she is virgin or not. Anyway, Amar Rav Huna, lo shanu ela mane ela mane 200, אבל תוספת אין לה. So Rashi explained the original document that was written for that marriage, it doesn't carry any value. So she cannot collect what it's written there in the original. Tosfot asked a question. Let's face it, she's no longer a virgin. So how you treat it? So in short, he says that we have a structure, as we said many times. We have the Ketubah and we have the Tosefet, the addition. The addition Tosefet you cannot collect. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, afilu Tosefet yesh la. Rabbi Yehuda said no, that he agreed that the original document doesn't carry any value, but since he continued living with her, he have in his mind to follow the commitment of the original Ketubah. So therefore, if he sell any estate, she cannot collect from that estate. So meitive chidshu notelet ma shechidshu. if you have a minor, the minor grew up, or the convert is already Jewish. So is an addition to the Ketubah, so you collect. Chidshu ein, which means that's if it's a tosefet, if it's an addition to the Ketubah, lo chidshu lo. If not, not. That's not what Rav Yehuda said. Now, again, for those who are not so familiar, we said many times, there is a concept of basic money in the Ketubah. For virgin is 200, for not is 100. Many times there are husbands that commit themselves to additional money in addition to the Ketubah for all kind of reasons. So Eima af ma shechidshu, which means if they have more, she collected more in addition to what it's written in the original Ketubah. So the Gemara said, "V'halo tani achi, chidshu notel ma shechidshu lo chidshu betula gova matan b'mana maneh." So it said Tilta de Rav Yehuda. So it's left. It's a question of Rav Yehuda because he did not. So the Gemara said Rav Yehuda matnitin at itei, the language of the Mishnah, he misconstrued or he misled him. Hu savar he hol ktubata kayemet akul damil takai, which means that's applied to the entire Ketubah, regardless if the Ketubah itself or the tosefet, the addition. Velo hi ha'ikar Ketubah kai, so it only applies to the Ketubah, but not to tosefet. So it was a great rabbi, Gaon Mislutsk, was a great, the Nodab Yehuda said Libo kelev ari, which means he was a giant scholar. So he have a responsa over a 13 years boy that got married, and he doesn't have simanim, which means he doesn't have the sign that he is already mature adult. He wrote a Ketubah, and shortly afterward he get divorced, but at the time we get divorced, you see a sign of maturity. Mm-hmm. Do you treat it by current situation, which is the Ketubah and the Tosefet, or you go back the time that he get married, that since he doesn't have the simanim, at least he doesn't need to pay the Tosefet. Hadran alach hakotev leishto. The concept we're going to study in this Mishnah, in particular, is the idea of bnin dechrin, ktubat bnin dechrin. Imagine a fellow that he gave his daughter as a dowry, $1 million. Someone have only one daughter. He wants her to get married. He wants to give her $1 million. But he's afraid. What is his fear? He's afraid that if she married to this guy, they have one child, and this guy is going to marry another wife. And for our understanding, he had 9 children from the second wife. And if he passed away, what's going to happen? His grandson will get $100,000 from that Ketubah, and $900,000 will go to children that it's not his grandchildren. So he wants to protect his daughter, that this $1 million he brings to dowry for her marriage will go solely to his grandchildren from the husband. So that's called Ktuban Bnin Dechrin, that the person have the right to sign in a Ketubah, that goes specifically for the first children of the wives. So Misha haya nasui shte nashim umet. Here the Mishnah dealing with dinei kdima, who has first, who has second, if there are children from more than one wife, especially if it's not enough money to pay for all the children. Imagine if the man married more than once and there are children from different wives, and the money of Ketubah did not cover for everyone. So Misha haya nasui shte nashim umet, if someone married 2 wives and he met and he passed away and the 2 wives are still alive, and the money that left is not enough to collect all the money that he commit himself into Ketubot, הרishona kodemet lashniya. The first wife has more right than the second one, which means the first wife collects the money of the Ketubah, and if more money left, the second one can take, otherwise the first one get all the money. And he said, ויורשי הראשונה קודמים ליורשי שנייה. And the inheritance and the heirs of the first one preceding the second one. Which means you pay that first, and then you get the Yerusha, the inheritance. That's כתובת בנים דחים. נשא את הראשונה ומתה. He married the first wife, and she passed away. נשא שנייה ומת הוא. And he married the second wife, and he passed away. So now the children of the first wife want to collect money from כתובת בנים דחים, or to inherit the father with the others. שנייה ויורשיה קודמים ליורשי הראשונה. The second one and her heir preceding the first one when it's come to the Ketubah. Why? Because when the husband passed away in the life of the second wife, she or her heir come to collect the money of the Ketubah, and they have a status of a lender, which means the right over the Ketubah of the mother is because Ketubah bin Nechrin, and it's and again, as we said, that if you have Baalei Chov or Yerusha, you have inheritance or land debt, you collect the debt first. So here you see, as far as collecting the Ketubah Bnim Dechri, the second one, because Baalei Chov, the one you owe money, it's before the Yorshim, the one who are the heir. So, מדקטנה הראשונה קודמת לשנייה, by the fact that the Mishnah mentioned that the first one preceding the second one when she collect the Ketubah, ולא קטנה הראשונה יש לה, we use the word קודמת, preceding, and it's not that she have. So, והשנייה אין לה, מכלל דאי קדמה שנייה הוא תפסה, that if the second one is more aggressive, she went ahead and she collect from the estate of the husband before the other wife come in to collect the money earlier, לא מפקינן מינה, we leave her alone and we do not go after her, right? Because she was the one who, we as a Bet Din, not go after her to give the money back, you leave her alone to have those estate, even is nothing left to pay the first Ketubah. Shma Mina, we derive from that if a person have two people that he owes, two institutions, you owe this bank A, you owe bank B, right? בעל החוב המאוחר שקדם בגבה מה שגבה גבה, which means yes, you want to pay the first one, but the truth is if the second one came first and he collected all the money that left, it's done, you leave him alone, you can't. The truth is, the Gemara in page 94 have a big discussion, because you have to differentiate between estate, karkaot, and metaltalin, movable object. It's a very big discussion, how you go about in this. For example, soon you see, imagine Reuven owes money to 5 people, but his best friend, Shimon, he is one of the lenders. So he wanted to give all the money he has to Shimon. Why? Because it's his body. But he owes money to others. Is that acceptable or not? If he can make those decisions when he need to pay. לעולם אין מלאך, מה שגבה לא גבה. When you have two different lenders, the last one, we should take what he take for the one who preceding him. Umay kodemet. So why, if you have 2 wives, you say that the first wife should get before the second one? Legamrei ketane, which means that even the second one come and collect the first one, can come back and say, that's not fair, that's not right, I want my first. Kidetnan, this is Mishnah in Tractate Bava Batra, page 115. Ben kodem lebat. When you have Yerusha, you have inheritance, so the son preceding the daughter. So it means that the son is the one who inherits, and the daughter have no right in the inheritance. So therefore the Mishnah used the language of Gdima, who was the first. Ika de Amre is another option. Mi de lo katane im kadma shniya vetafsa, en motzi mi adam michlal de ikadma shniya vetafsa, mapkinan mina. And you give it to the first wife. Shma mina. We derive from that if a person have two lender, בעל חוב מאוחר שקדם וגבה מה שגבה לא גבה. The second one that come and collect, he's dead, so you pull out whatever he collected and you give it to the first one whom he owes earlier. So the Gemara rejected that and said, לעולם המלאך מה שגבה גבה. You can say that if there are two lenders, the second one, whatever he collect, he collect. And here, when the Mishnah said that if the second wife comes and she collects from the estates, you should not pull it out of her. So since we said in the last clause of the Mishnah that the second one in her heir precedes the first one, so therefore you don't the collection is not in effect. Why? Because the father commit himself to the Ketubah of the second wife, and the first one only come because they have the right of inheritance. And as we said many times, Rashi explains that if you have the two, you have Baalei Chov, the lender, and you have Yorshim, you have those who inherited, the Baalei Chov take precedent. 90b, Tananame Arishona Kodemet Lashniya. So if the second one came and collect from the estates, so you leave her alone. That's the way Tosfot Rosh and Rashi said. Now the truth is, when it's come to Baalei Chov, you come to two lenders. If the second one collected, maybe you leave him alone. Why? Tosfot explain, and others, that all those rules apply to karkaot, to estates, but not to a movable object. And the Rosh asks a question. He says, imagine that someone owes money to many lenders, and you have one of his buddies, and he wants to give all the money to one of his friends. So he take an oath, and he said all the money goes to him. Is that effective? The same applies to a husband, that he commit himself, he take an oath, that he give it only to the first one. Is that effective or not? It's a discussion. The Rosh elaborate on that. Anyway, Natsa et harishona. If a person married the first one, the first wife, and she passed away, and then she married the second one and he passed away. Shma minat lat. We derive from that three different halachot. Number one, shma mina, that if the wife of a person passed away, achat bechayav ve'achat bemoto, one during his lifetime, the other one after his passing, yesh lahem ktubat bnin dichrin, they have the right of bnin dichrin, of the first Ketubah, velo chayshinan le'imtsuyei, and we are not concerned that they come to some type of disputation fight. ממאי מדקטני, שנייה ויורשיה קודם ליורשיה ראשונה, מקדמו דקדמי, השק עיקר שק לי. So when it's enough estate to collect from the first one, so you take the בנין דיכרין of their mother. ושמה מן הכתובה נעשית מותר לחברתה. Which means that even the death of the first Ketubah equal to all the others, and nothing left to the second one, but the sons of the first one collected the Ketubah of their mother. It's because it's not written that the collection of the Ketubah to the heir of the second wife, it's considered motar, so you don't need another one. ושמע מינה כתובה בני דכין לא טרפה ממשעבדי. You see that also Ketubah of Bnin Dechin, you cannot collect it from those estates that they have already lien by the husband. The Isa כדעתה דעתין טרפה משעבדי, לית ובני ראשונה ולטרפים בבני שנייה. So the family members of the first wife come and collected the Ketubah of the mother from the second wife. מתקיף לרבשי ממאי. How do you learn that? דילמה לעולם עם מלאך, אחת בחייו ואחת במותו. That if the wife of person passed away, one during his lifetime, one after his passing, אין להם כתובת דין דרכים. The sons of the first wife, they do not have, good morning, the rights of inheritance, because we are concerned that they come to some type of fight, the disputation between the children. Umay could mean what the Mishnah meant when they said that the second one and her heir proceeding to the first one, not to teach us that when it's enough estate to collect the first one, the first one collected after the second one, but only lenachala ktani, which means that the collection of the second ketubah proceeding to the inheritance of the estate of the first one. So why the Mishnah mentioned to the first wife, and they said that that's the heir of the first wife, why they don't collect the ketubah? So I did the Tana Shniya B'Yoshea, Tananemi Yoshea Rishona. So I explained my book on Rashi. Rashi said, Achi Gatzinan, I did the Tana Shniya B'Yoshea, Tananami Yoshea Rishona. So he said, Ela Shma Be'alma Klomar L'Bnei Rishona. So the Shita Mikubetzet brought here, Umay Kodmin Lenachala, the Kodmim Shniya B'Yoshea L'Mishkal Ketubah. So here, I elaborate many pages on this Rashi, but the main concern is that it will be a disputation between the two wives' children, and the heir of the first one claim the rights over the Ketubah, and therefore the big question is the Ketubah Din Dechin, if it applies to both, to the estate and the debt that he owed. ודקאמר כתובה נעשית מותר לחברתה, על דילמה לעולם ממלאך אין כתובה נעשית מותר לחברתה, והאחרו דאיקה מותר דינה. So you have here Rashi and Tosfot that ask a question why you need two is enough. What Rav Ashi said, anyway, אחת בחייו ואחד במותו תנאי. So now the Gemara elaborates what we learned in the previous Mishnah, which means that if a man have been married twice and both wives are no longer among the living, one passed away when he was alive, one passed away after he passed. So here you see a disputation among the Tanaim. What happened if the children of the first wife collect the money of the Ketubah? The Tanya metu, if the wives pass, achad b'chayav, achad b'moto, one during his lifetime, one after his passing. Ben Anas omer יכולים בני הראשונה לומר לבני השנייה. Ben Anas said the children of the first wife can say to the second one, the children of the second one, בני בעלת חובתם, תלו כתובת עמכם וצאו. As we explained earlier, we have two definitions. One is the lending of money, which means you have a borrower that borrow money, and you have an heir that inheritance. So here, the children of the first wife said to the children of the second wife, you are sons of a borrower, which means that you can collect the Ketubah of your mother, and we collected the B'din Dichim. So רבי עקיבא אומר, כבר קפצה נחלה מלפני בני הראשונה, ונפנה לפני בן השנייה. So, in short, how it works. Imagine that you have $1 million and you have 2 children from the first wife and 3 children from the second wife. So if you go by that way, you take the first 500,000 and you split it, and then you take the other 500,000 and you split it again. But the way that you split the first one is by the way that you do it, paying debt, and the way that you split the second one is by splitting the Yerusha, the inheritance. That if both wives pass during his lifetime or after passing, so the children of the first one, יש להם כתובת בנים דכרין. They deserve the Ketubah as the first one. ומר סבר, אחד בחייו ואחד במותו, אין להם כתובת בנים דכרין. Regardless, they do not have that. Now, just remember the case of the original Mishnah that said that a man have his one daughter and he wants to bring a dowry. So she have a dowry of $1 million, and he puts in that Ketubah contract in a dowry that if the husband who passed away, only children that came from his daughter get inheritance from that estate. So what happened here is during the marriage of the first wife, the money gets higher, which means the husband gets more than $1 million, right? And then after the husband married the second one, it turns that he passed away. So here you have to take the first portion, the first $1 million, and go by the first son, which means the children that come from that marriage, and then you take the benefit that left, and then you split it among the second wife's children. But Amar Rabash kechinu tinu lerabanan devei Rav di'et v'ka'amrei lekule alma, if the both wives achad b'chayav achad b'moto, the children of the first one yesh lahem ktubat din dichrin, they deserve to get the Ketubah as the first, the children of the first one. Behacha, here in our Braita, בכתובה נעשית מותר לחברתה, והוא הדין לבעל חוב כמפלגי. So it means that Ben Anas and Rabbi Akiva disputed if one Ketubah considering as an addition to the other, and the same apply if the dinar that was basically as a lien for the loan, it's considering motar. So Mar Savar Ben Anas hold Ketubah na'aset motar lechaverta v'hu adin leba'al chov. That motar, it's in addition. Mar Savar Rabbi Akiva hold en Ketubah na'aset motar lechaverta, which means the marriage contract cannot be in addition to the other. V'hu adin leba'al chov ve'aminan lehu ana. And I, meaning Rabbah, respond to the sages. לבעל חוב, בבעל חוב כולם עלו פליגי דעה ומותר. כי פליגי בכתובה, which means if you have a state that you collect in order for you to pay the marriage contract, if it's considering motar to the second one. So it means, even according to Rabbah, it may be that Ben Anas and Rabbi Akiva hold that the condition of the Ketubah of those bnin dichrin applies even if one of them pass during his lifetime and one after his passing. So מתקיף לה רב יוסף, יחי, רבי עקיבא אומר כבר קפצה נחלה, אם יש מותר מבעלי, so he needs to say if it was a mutar dinar, so the heir of the first one collected, otherwise not. And אמר רבי יוסף, אחד בחייו ואחד במותו כמפלגי, which means if the two wives, one passed away when he was alive, one passed away after he passed, which means that for sure if you have mutar, you collected it. So Rabbi Yosef hold this disputation between Ben Anas and Rabbi Akiva in another disputation of Tanaim, that they also have the same disagreement. והנתנה היא כהנתנה היא דתניא. נשא את הראשונה ומתה. Person married the first wife and she passed away. ונשא את השנייה ומת הוא. And he married the second wife and then he passed away. באים בניה של זו לאחר מיתה. The sons of the first one come after she passed. ונוטלים כתובת אימן. So Rav Yosef understand that the sons here, I'm sorry, it's applied to the second one. And he said, the second one, which is the Baal Chov, the one he owes money, they come and collect the Ketubah of their mother, and the first one collected the Ketubah of Bnin Dichrin. So, because according to Tanakama, when one wife passed in the life of the husband and the other ones after his passing, you do not exercise the Ketubah Bnin Dichrin. So again, the whole idea is that if she came with that, for example, we use $1 million, right? She came as a dowry of $1 million, and that's applied to her sons, and she passed away before the husband, and then he married the second one. So now the second one collected first the amount of Ketubah that the father or their mother, the second wife of that man, and then the sons of the first wife can collect it, the Ketubah B'nei Dichrin, the money that she brought originally, the first wife, with her dowry. So he said, Rabbi Shimon Omer, אם יש מותר דינן, אלו נותנים כתובת אימן ואלו נותנים כתובת אימן. If you have more money, surplus, which means more than, so they're both collected. ואם לאו, after they collected the children of the second wife, the money that owes for their mother Ketubah, חולקים, the one who inherited the father, בשווה, what left over, equally. מה אליו בהק המפליגי? That's the disputation between Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon. The Marsava Rabbi Shimon hold that if the two wives passed away, אחת בחייו ואחת במותו, so the sons of the first one, יש להם כתובת בנין דכרין, they have the right of inheritance of the בנין דכרין, because, as we said, that's the original agreement. ומר סבר, אחת בחייו ואחת במותו, אין להם כתובת בנין דכרין. So here you see so far that the moment that she passed away, here you have the disputation. If she is alive, it's not the question, because that's the dowry she brought. She brought a dowry and it was in a condition that that's go straight only to her children. So therefore, she get it. But here you have to know that again and again, when you have two different avenues, one is the money that owes, versus you have Ketubah B'nei Dichrin, which means you have money that was collected, this original money from the dowry. First you pay the debt and then you split it among the children. So the Gemara said, Lo, the Kule Alma, everyone said if the two wives passed, Achad b'chayav, Achad b'moto, one during his lifetime, one after he passed, Yesh lahem, the sons of the first one, they have the right to inherit Ketubah B'nei Dichrin. 91, ואחד בדינר מקרקעי כמפליגי. Disputation between Tanakam and Rabbi Shimon, if the superfluous dinar you collected from the estate, which means Rashi said that the estate of the husband has to cover both Ketubot, and in addition dinar in the estate, mar savar mekarke en metaltel lelo, umar savar afilu metaltel. So the big question is, if you collected solely and only from the estate, or Rabbi Shimon hold, even that they are movable objects, the condition of the Ketubah of B'nei Dichrin can apply to that. So in very short, in that sense, what we understand so far is the idea that when a man have, for example, $1 million, and his only daughter is about to marry, and he's concerned that if the husband going to marry another wife, then this estate will not go to his grandchildren, so he can condition that this dowry, this money, solely go to his grandchildren. The problem is, if the wife passed first and the husband married a second wife, so what we said is you have a debt that all for the Ketubah of the second wife, and if the husband preceding the passing of his first wife, and you have the din dechin that applies to the first wife. So you always exercise first the money that owes, and then you go to the other estates. But in general, people have the right, when they do the, in the modern days you call it prenuptial agreements or something like that, to make some estate a commitment that goes specifically to their grandchildren or to the children from certain wife. And as we said, when it's come to collection of death, which is the death of Ketubah, versus collection of all the other estates, you always go first for the paying the debt first. And you derive from that also halachot in regards to lender and borrower, that they not always the borrower have the choice to whom to pay and how. Sometimes yes, but sometimes it has to spread according to the Beit Din. In general, a person, while he owns business, can have those choices to pay to certain lender first and second for all kind of reasons. This is my friend, this is not my friend. But when it's come to already a estate that goes to the Beit Din and they need to make decisions, so then you cannot go by his friends collecting the debt first before other debt collectors. ומי מציא תמר תחי ואתנן. This is something we learn in Mishna. רבי שמעון אומר אפילו יש שם נכסים שאין להם אחריות, which means the deceased left the state, he left the state that the lender cannot depend on them. So it means, the Ktsot HaChoshen explained in 39, that easily you can have those things disappear, which means that when it's not a property, when it's a movable object or in other estates, people can, take it in a way that you can no longer find them. אינם כלום, עד שיש שם נכסים שיש להם אחריות יותר על שתי כתובות דינר. So you have to find a state that you can collect, they have more value than the both Ketubot, which means that they cover all the death, which means clearly that Rabbi Shimon required that when it's come to that, you have to have addition dinar of the estate, and it means that Rabbi Shimon needs dinar from the estate, unlike Tanakama elahacha, bedinar mishabdei kamifligei, which means the disputation between Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon, if the value of those estates consider mutar. Mar savar mibnei chorin en mishabdei lo, umar savar afilu mishabdei. So even those states that total a lien to that lender, still the Ketubah condition is applied. So the Gemara explained it. יחי רבי שמעון אומר אם יש שם נותר דינר, כיוון שיש שם מותר מבא אלי, אלא בפחות מדינר כמפליגי. מר סבר, תנקמה הול, דינר אין פחות מדינר לא, so the Ketubah condition is not applied if it's less than dinar values. ומר סבר, אפילו פחות מדינר. Still the condition of din dichin applies. So the Gemara said, והרבי שמעון דינר כאמר. So it means you cannot say that he agreed that he's less than that. If you made to say that the other way, that even you have the estate less than the value of dinar, Rabbi Shimon hold that only if they have at least dinar. Tanakama dematiti nam dinar kamar. Ela kiach tanach tred lishnai kamae vehepuch. So again, Tanakama hold that the sons of the first wife inherited the Ketubah of the mother, which is the Ketubah b'din dechin, even if the mutar is mitaltelin, a movable object, or from the estates that already have a lien. Rabbi Shimon is more stringent, and he said that dinar has to be specifically from the estate, or specifically for a estate that doesn't have, that's free and clear from any death. So since, according Rashi said, according to this explanation, Rabbi Shimon is more stringent, now we understand why he said, if you have there motar dinar, and since we can explain this disputation in two different avenues, therefore it's not necessarily to say that this disputation between the Tanaim, if the Ketubat Bnin Dechrin applies in a situation that one of the wife passed during his lifetime and one after his passing, and that basically goes back the way that Rav Yosef explained that disputation. So in short, as you see, the manner of Ketubat Bnin Dechrin, which is the assurance you have that the estate go to the children of the first wife, applies only if there is no debt left from other sources. Because if there's a debt left from other sources, regardless how that happened, the children of the second wife collecting the debt, in that sense, can be the Ketubah of the mother, and only then you can split the Ketubat Bnin Dechrin.
Boyachem leshuloim malachai yeshuloim malachai